President Ramaphosa is in Galeshewe in the Northern Cape meeting with communities there. Let's take you there now live.
You are. I'm glad for the acknowledgement that you know that you are the African National Congress, because that's what it is all about. You are so because those who were there right at the beginning felt that religious leaders need to be part of this movement because they relate to the masses of our people. They speak to the masses of our people. They know the challenges and the problems of the masses of our people. They are the ones who intercede on behalf of the masses of our people, and they are therefore the rightful people who should form this organization. And they, as religious leaders, started mobilizing amongst themselves and say, because we are who we are, we represent the masses of the people, we need to form this organization and give it a clear mandate. And the mandate was simple, straightforward. We formed the ANC and said, for now we will also give you some of our own leaders who should become the leaders of the ANC. John Langalibale Ledube, Reverend, was first president, and as you have heard from Comrade Zamani, many others followed. And they said, we want you to go and execute the following mandate. Go out there as an organization and have this clear vision. The vision is to deliver a democratic South Africa. And this, they said, at a time when there was no democracy in our country, where there was no justice in our country, where there was colonialism and oppression. And they said, go out and deliver this type of South Africa. Beyond that, we want you to deliver also a non-racial South Africa, because the vision that we have as a church, as religious organizations, cuts across all races. We want a united South African nation and go out and deliver a non-racial South Africa. We also want you to go out and deliver a South Africa which is non-sexist. And in many ways, they were already ahead of their time. Ahead of their time because some of the ideals that the ANC has stood for had not yet crystallized in the way that they are today. But they knew they were ahead of their time and things would evolve. But more importantly, they also said, we want you to go and deliver a prosperous South Africa. Because they knew then that there was no prosperity. There was poverty, there was suffering, there was oppression, and there was exploitation in the land. And they said, that is the mandate that we want you to go and deliver. And in many ways, I say it's a simple mandate because if you look at every faith-based organization and you look at their catechism, you look at everything that they stand for, it's all amounts to precisely the objectives that the ANC has always stood for. And they then said, go out and prosecute the struggle for the freedom of the people of South Africa. And having said that, they then obviously decided that there are some leaders who should be deployed within the African National Congress. And let me tell you that the ANC has been so well blessed, so immensely blessed to have had leaders who have come from faith-based organizations over the years. And I think that's where the greatest blessing for the ANC has been. And we'd like to say thank you very much for you as faith-based organizations for having deployed some amongst you to become leaders of the African National Congress. And we also want to say thank you for being our shareholders. Our dividends may not come in money. The ANC hasn't got a lot of money or any money at all. But we have abundant dividends because what you said the African National Congress should go out and achieve, it has sought to achieve. But it continues to do the work that you set it out to do. It continues to stick to that mandate with great difficulty and everything else. And over the 108 years, by the way, the ANC has been sustained by prayer, sustained by the support that it has received from faith-based organizations. It has also been sustained by the good and great wishes from religious organizations. And this is what sustained us. They sought to destroy the ANC along the way. And as Comrade Zamani said, there was a time when the ANC almost disappeared, almost died. But it took, once again, religious leaders to come back and revive the African National Congress, to breathe life into it and to set it back on its path. So where it could have been weak, it was, yes, religious organizations that strengthened it. Where it could have stumbled, it was religious organizations that strengthened it. And yes, the ANC has gone through ups and downs, some imposed on us by the oppressors, and some were our own mistakes. And where it has faltered, we've always known that it was religious organizations that would stand up and say, now you are faltering. Now you are departing from where we expect you to be. Like the past few years when the ANC started faltering and losing its ways, something that we acknowledged at our 54th conference. It was in the main religious organizations that raised their concern, that came to us, that raised the concerns publicly. And we continue to say we want you as the guardians and the guarantors of the African National Congress never to tire, to continue keeping the African National Congress on the path that you determined right at the beginning. We want you to stay with us. And as organizations go in the world, and we've got an experience of 108 years, as organizations go, organizations do falter and some disappear. They falter, they make mistakes, and they die. The African National Congress has been fortunate to have you as faith-based organizations because you have sustained us. So that's why I say you are shareholders. Shareholders will always want the company, the entity that they formed to carry on. And sometimes shareholders even have to put a little bit more effort to make sure that indeed the entity that they formed should continue. So I stand here to thank you on behalf of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress for all that you have done. Having formed the ANC in the beginning, having sustained the African National Congress, and having stood by the ANC over the years. But we also call upon you to continue with the supportive work that you have done over the years to the ANC, for the ANC. We want you to continue working with us. For quite a lot of the things that we do is to address the aspirations of our people. And you, as as faith-based organizations, you stand for the aspirations of our people. And I'm glad to hear that here in the Northern Cape, you so promote the aspirations of our people that you don't try to set people alight with petrol. I'm so glad that you so look after the aspirations of our people. You don't risk their lives and want them to be swallowed by snakes. You so look after the aspirations and the interests of our people that your religious or faith-based leaders do not abuse the young people and the young women and other women in your churches. We thank you for that. We thank you for that. And we also want to thank you for not seeking to run your faith-based organizations as businesses, because a number of churches and other bodies that claim to be faith-based organizations are now run as businesses, where you find the leaders are living the life of luxury. They even have jets, they even have Rolls Royces, and you often ask, when and at what time did they get all these? Because it just shows that it is a business. Some of these organizations run as businesses. But we thank you here in the Northern Cape that you've been able not to go in that direction. We thank you for promoting the best of values. The best of values about integrity, about morality, and also inculcating it amongst the people of South Africa. But you do have a challenge, and I do want to talk about this challenge. There's a huge challenge. Last year, towards the end of the year, I convened as President of the Republic a meeting of faith-based organization leaders in Pretoria, and said we need to have a conversation and a dialogue about the morality in our nation, and what the church, what religious organizations, faith-based organizations can do to ensure that morality within our society is put on a higher footing. And this is a challenge that confronts you as faith-based organization leaders. And we would like you to focus on that, because this is your purview, this is your area of speciality, this is where you operate best at. Because you touch the inner feelings of our people, you touch their souls, you work at a spiritual level, and we urge you to embark on this major project so that we are able to bring a lot of improvement in the morality of our nation. We are thankful to you for having imparted good values to the African National Congress, and good values that we are determined to promote, to embrace, and to act on. These values that are enshrined in our Constitution about honesty, respect, integrity, serving the people, and having leaders who are servant leaders, you are the ones who imparted them onto us as leaders of the African National Congress and on the African National Congress. And we would urge you that those are the types of values that we would like to see propagated all around. I want to conclude by adding another segment of a prayer which I think Comrade Zamani left out. He dealt with all the four, and how we understand God, and how we want to commission God to intercede on our behalf. But there is another one. How, as we pray to God, we also promise what we will do as children of God. What we promise we will do. because that too is an important one. And this is clearly enshrined in our own constitution. And some of you may be interested to read the oath that every ANC member signs up on when they join. It's a solemn oath in our constitution, how every member of the African National Congress is meant to behave. And we say, there is that promise that we want you also as a church to evoke in all of us, that we should promise to be, yes, truthful, promise to have integrity, promise to love God, yes, but also in my case as President of the Republic, that we want South Africans to be patriotic, to promise that we will be patriotic to our country, that we will be proud South Africans, that we will love our country as well. Now, the other one, of course, is another segment, is a segment that evokes hope. Hope for the future. This is what Apostle Grace spoke about. And I found her sermon, it was a sermon to me. I found the message that she imparted filling me with a great deal of hope, where she was saying that despite all the difficulties and challenges that we are going through as a nation, we will overcome. And we shall overcome. And I say so advisedly. ANC, which you as faith-based organizations formed 108 years ago, you formed it, you launched it, and as you launched it, you wanted it to overcome. And indeed, it did overcome many, many challenges and difficulties. But the greatest one that it did, and you smiled when it happened, was in 1994, when the ANC did finally defeat the monster of apartheid. That you smiled on, and you must have been grateful, and you must have said, my child, you have done well. Because indeed the ANC had achieved what you had set it up to achieve. But then again, as Nelson Mandela in his book says, I look around and I'm at the top of the mountain and I look at the vista and I see all the beauty that I behold. But I also know that I cannot tarry. There is still many hills to be climbed. And Madiba knew that we still needed to go forward. And it is this hope that Pastor Grace spoke about, that Apostle Grace spoke about. The hope that we should have strength. The strength to be able to climb many more hills. The strength to be able to overcome once again. To overcome again and again and again and again, as she was saying. To overcome, yes, the difficulties of our economy. Our economy is facing huge challenges. Unemployment has grown in a way that it has not grown in the past. We have a government that is at work, day in and day out. At work to restore the economy of our country. Part of the challenges we face emanate from our past, and many of them emanate from our apartheid past. Some of them emanate from the mistakes that we have made. Part of them emanate from the global situation of the economy more broadly. And these are the challenges that we have to deal with. And the mistakes that we made, there was rife corruption, there were many policy mistakes, but we are putting all those right. We are correcting them. We are taking steps to address the challenges and the difficulties. And that is why Apostle Grace fills me with hope, fills me with energy. Yesterday I said being here, or this morning, I said being here, just going to our departed leader's grave, Sol Plaatje, was an inspiration, a great inspiration, because there we were at the grave and at the foot of the great leader who struggled so much and gave up so much so that we could be free. So that was great inspiration. Inspiration to be dedicated, to be committed, to be a servant leader, to serve the people of South Africa. That is the spirit that filled us all as we went to Sol Plaatje's grave this morning at 6:30, when many of you were still asleep and having a nice sleep. We were already up. But we were inspired, greatly inspired. And this afternoon, I'm more greatly inspired by the message from Apostle Grace, to be hopeful. And this is it that we will also be communicating on Saturday. The National Executive Committee's statement will be about all South Africans working together for the future that Apostle Grace spoke about, working together so that we can overcome our difficulties. And this is a time when all of us must join hands, pull together, because we have no other option and we have no other country to go to. This is our only country and we must make it work. There is no other option other than us working together, supporting each other, working together, egging each other on. Where we make mistakes, to raise those mistakes and say, you are faltering. We want you to retrace your steps and walk on the straight and narrow and take this country forward. So as I conclude, my spirit is filled with a lot of energy. I am elated. I'd like to thank Comrade Zamani and his other comrades who are leading this province for having organized this. And today, as I leave, well, I'm going to eat first. As we leave, we will be filled, spiritually filled, politically strengthened, and also so well energized that we will be able to enter into this new year with a great deal of oomph. And if you ask me where I will have received my energy from, it is from here, the Northern Cape. Thank you very much.